Good day, class. So, Sir Gerald again, and welcome to another lesson in statistics, wherein we will be discussing frequency distributions and graphs. So, basically, when we talk about frequency distribution and graphs, this is actually a manner or a portion of what we call the statistical process. So, by the statistical process, we mean the definition of statistics, wherein it is a science or a study of uh, collecting, organizing, presenting, and analyzing data. So in this one, we will be actually dealing with the presentation part. We will be talking about how we can present our raw data in a manner that is easily understandable or readable or comprehensible by your readers. So that's the main essence of frequency distribution in graphs. So it is how you organize the data by constructing frequency distribution and how to present the data by constructing graphs and charts. So by definition, frequency distribution actually is grouping of data into categories showing the number of observation in each of the non-overlapping classes. So by overlapping classes, it can be numerical, it can also be categorical. So frequency distributions can either be those two. Pag sinabi natin numerical, it deals with data. By data, numerical data. By numerical data, we mean those under the interval and the ratio level of measurement. And when we talk about categorical, it may fall under the ordinal and nominal level of measurements. So this video will actually uh, will be will be presented in different parts. So you can do it step by step, not just a full blown video discussing all of the frequency distributions and all of the graphs. So basically, for this one, I think we will be ending this video by uh, on the discussion I think, regarding group frequency distribution, and we'll be chopping this video in the for the discussions of frequency distributions. So here are some definitions that you may want to get. So we have here raw data, which is the data collected in original form. So it means when you surveyed or you you give questionnaires to your respondents, and they you get the data on that questionnaires, that will be your raw data. Class will be the category or the interval of values. So category for the categorical, and interval values for interval and ratio level of measurements. And also we have range, which is the difference between the highest value and the lowest value in the distribution, which means this we fall under the interval and ratio level of measurement. Again, we have here frequency distribution. It is the organization of data in tabular form using mutually exclusive classes, showing the number of observation each. By mutually exclusive classes, uh, they are not non-overlapping. And also we have class limits or apparent limits. This is the highest and the lowest values describing a class. So if you have a class which is 5 to 10, then 11 to 15, no, 11 to 16 pala yun, then 17 to 23. So uh, the class limits for the first class will be 5, and the higher limit or the higher class limit will be 10. So that those were the class limits. Again, this will be useful in our understanding of interval and ratio data uh, frequency distribution. And Next, we have the class boundaries, which are the real limits. It is the upper and the lower values of a class for frequency distribution whose values has additional decimal place uh, more than the class limit and end with the digit 5. So if your classes are in tenths, say 5.1, you'll just add zero point 0.5 or minus zero point 0.5 to those apparent limits or class limits so you can get the class boundaries. Don't worry, later on we will have discussion regarding this. Next is we have interval or width. It is a distance between the class lower boundary and the class upper boundaries. So that will be involving class boundaries. And also we have frequency, which is the number of values in specific class or frequency distribution by frequency, number, or the amount, or kung ilan sila. By relative frequency, it is the value which is obtained when frequencies in each class of frequency distribution is divided by the total number values. So, for example, for a specific category, you have 5 respondents or frequency for that. Then your total observation is 20. Then your relative frequency would be 5 divided by 20. Okay? So that is relative frequency. And for the percentage, it is obtained by multiplying the relative frequency by 100 or 100%. So you will have their percentage. So for our example earlier, that will be 5 divided by 20 multiplied by 100. So you will have 25%. So that is the percentage for that measurement. And also we have cumulative frequency. It is the sum of frequency accumulated up to the upper boundary of the class in frequency distribution. It can also be the other way around. It is the sum of the frequency accumulated up to the lower boundary of the class in a frequency distribution. It can happen that way. It can be the upper or the lower boundary of the class. Alright. So next one is we have the midpoint. It is the point halfway between the class limits of each class and is representative of the data within the class. So for example, if we have 5 to 10 is our interval for our class, what will happen here is we just need to get the sum of it, 5 plus 10 divided by 2, that would be 7.5. So our midpoint of 5 and 10 will be 7.5. Okay? So next is the formal discussion regarding constructing frequency distribution. So in constructing frequency distribution, we will be following a certain steps depending on the type of the data that we are dealing with. So I think the easiest frequency distribution will be the nominal data. By nominal data or ordinal data, we will be dealing with categorical data. It is easier to do those type of frequency distribution. Okay? So I think we will be using or following this process, wherein we will be dealing with three group frequency distribution, wherein we will have the categorical frequency distribution. Then we will be determining the class interval. By class interval, this is the width of each class for a group frequency distribution of interval or ratio data. So those these three will be the outline of our video for today after that definition of terms. So by definition, group frequency distribution is used when the range of data set is large and the data must be grouped into classes, whether it is categorical or interval data. Especially when it comes to large amount of data, not, not just the range of the data itself. Uh, Sometimes when we have at least 30 respondents or 30 members or 30 30 bits or 30 pieces of data, we group frequency distribution will be useful for presenting those data, not just simply enumerating the responses of each of the sample. So in this way, your readers or your the viewers of your study will have a better way of looking at your data. So let's start with the categorical frequency distribution. By categorical frequency distribution, this will be used to organize nominal level and ordinal level type data. It can be applied to gender, business type, political affiliation, course, and descriptive grades. So it follows these steps. So we have four steps for categorical frequency distribution, wherein we just need to construct a table with headers of class, tally, frequency, and percentage, and record the categories under the class column. So then we need to tally the raw data under the tally, convert the tallied data into numerical frequency under the frequency column, then determine the percentage using percentage is equal to frequency divided by the total number of samples times 100, where F is frequency and N is the total number of values. So easy as that. We have four steps for categorical frequency distribution. So by just seeing these steps, we cannot simply just understand the categorical frequency distribution this way. So I have here a sample. So I have here 20 applicants were given a performance evaluation appraisal, and the data set is this. So we have here our table. We constructed the table with class, with tally, frequency, then percentage, and under class, we provided or we just listed all of the classes or the performance evaluation appraisal. So we have here high, average, and low. So as you may have remembered, high, average, and low may fall under the ordinal level of measurement because we know the apparent arrangement of the categories, but we cannot see the absolute difference of high and average and low, and high and low. So that that's why it is under the ordinal level of measurement, which is actually also a categorical level of measurement. So that will be step one and two. And for step three, we just need to tally this up. So by tally, we just need to count the number of highs, the number of average, and the numbers of low. By tally, we can use sticks to go about this. Wherein, as you can see here, oh, na-shortcut siya. Okay, so natanggal lahat. No, no. But anyway, as you can see here, for the tally, we have here 7. Let's count if 7 nga ba talaga. Baka mali yung nakalagay dito. Baka mali yung gawa ko. So we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we have there 7. 7 observations for high. And also, let's count the average if 8 ba talaga siya. So we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that is 8. And for the low, we have there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5. Then we just convert the tally into frequency. So 7, 7, 8, 8, 5, 5. Then we just compute for the percentage. As you can see here, percentage will actually be equal to, for this one, we have 7 divided by, we have here 20 applicants, meaning to say, we have an n which is equal to 20. So we have here 7 divided by 20 multiplied by 100, we have the 35%. Also for 8, that will be 8 divided by 20 times 100, which is equal to 40. And for this one, we have 5 divided by 20 times 100. Then we have 25. We can actually add another column here if you want. You can add the relative frequency. By relative frequency, that will be just 7 divided by 20, so that is 0.35. And also, we have here 8 divided by 20, that will be 0.40. And for this one, 5 divided by 20 will have 0.25. So the important thing you need to remember when you are to add the percentages, this must be equal to 100. And for the RF, this should be equal to 1.00. Okay, at there are some cases na sosobra sa 100 or kulang sa 100. You just need to check sa inyong mga pag-round off kung kulang ba yung round off nyo o sobra ba yung round off nyo. Okay? So, in that, we have there the categorical frequency distribution. That is how you go about that. So, shortcuts. You can actually use Excel or spreadsheet when doing this. So in that, you can actually type each value of the dataset in Excel. So, yun lang. Medyo matagal nga lang yung pagta-type. Pero kung na-type na ng ibang tao, i-copy-paste na lang. Then use the COUNTIF formula. So, for COUNTIF formula, there are actually two parameters there wherein you just need to take note of the range. So, after you take note of the range, then you take note of the category. Siya na yung Excel na yung bahalang uh, mag-perform ng iyong computation. Okay? So we can actually try. Hindi na siya nakalink. But in any case, say, let's just have some examples. Just opening this Excel sheet. For example, I have here, say high, low, average, then high again, then low again, then low, low, high, low, and average. So as we can see here, we have 3 highs, 5 lows, and 2 average. So for the count if formula, zoom in lang natin, ano, we just need to account for the classes, then the frequency. So for that, you just need to type classes, then have your high, your average, then your low. Okay? So for the frequency, you can just use the countif formula. So for the countif formula, you just need to type count if and use parentheses. You select your range. Okay, so that will be my range. Then we just need to select this criteria which is high. So in here, ang gagawin nung Excel dun sa range na binigay mo, which is itong lahat ng to, dun sa range na yan, bibilangin niya lahat ng high. So that is your criteria. So once you hit enter, you will have here 3. So we have here 1, 1, 2, 3. So this will be actually useful in your data. So another thing you can do is, same thing for average, ganun lang din gagawin nyo. Kaso kapag bigla nyo lang dinrag to, anong nangyayari class? Nagbabago yung range na pinaganahan nyo. Imbes na C2 yung kanina, pansin nyo, itong part na to, imbes na C2, naging C3. And from C11, naging C12. So what you can do here is go back to your uh, formula in high, then you just need to put $sign in front of the data or road na hindi mo gustong mabago. So in that, I use dollar sign sa harap ng 2 at sa harap ng 11. So entering that, you have 3. And kapag min-ring down mo siya, okay? So you have there, select mo yung formula dito sa taas, you have there C2 to hanggang C11, wherein ang i-call niya ay B15, which is yung average. So as you can see there, we have two averages there and 5 for low. So as you can do here is just hold alt, then equal, you have the sum, then you have 10. So that is how you can count using Excel kung sobrang dami ng data niyo. Ano? So, anyway, so that is how you count. Count if, right? So going back to our spreadsheet or our presentation, our next topic is regarding determining the class interval. So by determining class interval, this is actually just, I just need to show you the rules or the methods on how you can determine the class interval. By class interval, this is the range or the amount or the width. Pala. It is the width in which your classes, it is the width of your classes. By the width of your classes, ilan bang data yung nandun. So if we have there, for example, our example earlier, 5 to 10, the class interval there actually is 6. So by 6, if you count 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you have there 6 values. So in determining class interval, that is what we need to accomplish. We need to accomplish what is the width of our data. So this is useful for interval and ratio data, in which we actually have this formula or definition. So by class interval or width, it is the distance between the lower class boundary and the upper class boundary. Generally, there are three rules in determining the class interval. So for rule 1, you just need to determine the number of classes and get the lowest positive integer k such that 2 raised to k is greater than or equal to n, where n is the total number of observations. Uh, using the formula below, we can obtain the class interval. So, ano ba yung sinasabi niyang 2 raised to k? For this rule, you can just write this as this. So, nangyari, halimbawa, ang n natin ay equals to 30. So, you need to identify a k wherein k is 2 raised to k will be greater than or equal to 30. So, yun lang yung ibig niyang sabihin dyan. So, ano ba yung k na mas magkakaroon tayo ng greater than 30? So, using your maths, 2 raised to k, wherein if you take k, which is, I think, 6, 2 raised to 6 is 2, 4, 6, 8. Ay, no. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. No, 2 raised to 5 will be enough. So 2 raised to 5 is actually greater than or equal to 30 since 2 raised to 5 is 32. Okay? So your k will be 5. Then you will be using that 5 to get this formula. Okay? So that is rule number 1. And wala yung rule number 2 dito. Hindi ko alam kung ano nangyari. But in any case, for rule number 2, you just need your n, wherein class interval will simply be, I think it's, so for the class interval, I think it's 1 plus 3.33 log n. Wait a second, guys. Let me check. No, it's not I. This is K. Okay. So second. So this is equal to K, wherein you can actually use this by to get the class interval, your I will be equal to the range, which is the highest value over minus the lowest value over 1 plus 3.33322 pala, 322 log n, where n is the total it is your sample size, which is 30. And for the rule 3, you just need to identify the ideal number of classes. So for that, you just need to kailangan mo lang din na gamitin yung yung range. And with that range, you divide the range by your number of classes. Okay? So that is how you determine class interval. So moving on to group frequency distribution. Okay, so this will be the group frequency distribution. By group frequency distribution, we will be actually going to construct what we call our frequency distribution table that involves interval data. So for interval data, by interval data, as you may have remembered, this data can be discrete or continuous variables. And by discrete and continuous variables, it can take up numerical form. Okay. So in group frequency distribution, we will be following the these steps, wherein we will be needing to arrange the raw data in ascending order or descending order. Then we just need to determine the following, or to determine the classes. So by determining the classes, we just need to get the lowest and highest value. We will be finding the range, which is the highest value minus the lowest value. Then we will determine the number of classes using, we may use the 2 raised to k rule, wherein 2 raised to k must be greater than or equal to our sample size. Then we will be determining the class interval, which is range over the number of classes. And we will be selecting a starting point. Usually, for selecting the starting point, we can actually select the lowest possible value or the lowest value that you got from your data. And then you select the individual class limit, set the individual class limit, then set the class boundary. Okay? So what you need to do then is tally the raw data, convert tallied data to frequencies, determine the relative frequency, all the sorts that we had talked about earlier, or the definitions that we talked about earlier. So, ang magiging pinakamatagal lang sa construction ng ano natin dyan, ng ating frequency distribution will be the class construction itself. By class construction, determining the class limits, determining the class interval, determining the range, and so on and so forth. So I have here an example. So in here, we actually have a travel agency that offers special rates at summer period. The owner wants additional information on the ages of the people taking the travel tours, and a random sample of 50 customers taking the travel tours last semester revealed these ages. So in here, we'll be constructing a group frequency distribution table using rule 1 for determining the class interval. first things first, we just need to arrange. So by arrange, this is how we arrange. So I have here, you can just check, I have here 18. Check natin, para makita natin. So I have here 18, and 19, then 24, then 27, 28, 29, 31, 31, 34, 36, 36, where's 37? 37, 38. So you can actually just pause the video and check it yourself kung gusto nyo. Dalawang 39, 39, then what's the other 39? 39, then we have 42. So ito na yung pinaka-tedious, anak. Pero actually, you can also use Excel in doing this. You just need to sort the data using the sort button on the ribbon. Where's the as you can see here. Ayan. So basically, ganun. Ganun ang mangyayari. Okay? Then, after arranging, you get the highest and lowest value. As you can see here, the lowest value is 18 and the highest value is 77. Then, we just find the range. And the range here will be 59. So, for determining the classes, as you can see here, ilan yung values natin dito? We have 50. So, unahan natin ng kaunti yung slide. So, rule 1 yung gagamitin natin. So, we will be using 2 raised to k must be greater than or equal to 50. You can actually use trial and error method here to determine the k. Let me guess. I think 6. Okay? So, what is 2 raised to 6? Hindi pa natin alam kung greater than or equal to. So, 2 raised to 6 is you just need to multiply 6 by itself, by 2 by itself 6 times. So, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So, this will be 4, this will be 8, this will be 16, 32, 64. So, we have 64 is actually greater than or equal to 50, meaning to say our k will be equal to 6. Also, this means that we will be using a table which has 6 classes. Okay? So, in that, we have 6 classes. So, inunahan natin. Then, we just need to determine the class interval. So, our class interval will be I is equal to range over 1 plus 3.322 log 50, which is actually equal to 8.8802, which is we can round that up to 9 para hindi tayo mahirapang mag-add. So, rule lang, for sa construction natin ng FDT or frequency distribution table, we always round up. Okay? So, para lang masabi ko. Maalala natin. Okay? So, for the next part, we just need to determine the class limits. So, for the class limits, since 18 is the lowest value, let 18 be the starting point. So, ang gagawin lang natin for the class interval, since ang class interval natin kanina ay 9, we just need to add 9 to 18. So, adding 9 to 18, that will be 27. So, that will be our next lower class limit. Okay, so then you add another 9 for 27, then you have 36, 45, 54, 63, and so on. So for the upper class limit of each class, you just need to deduct 1 from the next upper lower limit. So 27 minus 1, that will be 26. 36 minus 1, that will be 35. Or you can just subtract 1 to your class limit, so that will be 8. because of 9 minus 1. Then you just need to add that 8 to each lower limit. So we will have there 26, 35, 44, 53, 62, 71, and 80. Okay? Hopefully, that's clear. So for the next step, we just need to set the class boundaries for each class. So for each class, uh, consider 18 to 26. To obtain the class boundaries, we just need to subtract 0.5 from 18 and add 0.5 to 26. As you may notice here, our values are actually the lowest value or the lowest uh, place value of our data is actually ones. So, kaya tayo nag-add ng 0.5 at nag-subtract ng 0.5 kasi this is intense. Okay? But, for example, if you have, let's say, instead of that, you have 18, no, not 18. Say you have 17.5 to 26.5 as your class limits, and you have what you need to do here is instead of 0.5, that will be 0.05, meaning to say our class boundary will be 17.45 up to 26.55. Okay? Hopefully, malinaw yun. Ano? So, basically, nakadepende tayo dun sa lowest place value. Tama. Lowest digit, which is ones. So, kaya yung inad natin or at sinubtract is intense. Basta lagi siyang, ang value niya ay 5. May it be 0.05 or 0.005 and so on, depending on the given class limits of your classes. So for this one, since this is ones, we just add and subtract zero point 0.5, which is intense. So that's why it's 17.5 to 26.5. Same here, subtract zero point 0.5. That's why we have 26.5. Add 5.5, so that's why we have 35.5 and so on. So the next step I think is we need to add the tally. We need to tally. By tally, we need to count all of the values that is between or inside 18 to 26. So as you can see here, we have 18 to 26. So the tally here will actually be 1, 2, 3. Tama ba? So same for the next class limit. So we have 27 to 35. Gagawin ko, encircle ko na lang sila para madali ko makita. So we have there 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then for 36 to 44, same. Hanapin mo lang yung 44, yung 36. So ilan to? We have there 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then plus 2. Then another 2. So that's 9. So you just need to continue on doing that for the tally. Then you'll have this tally. So as you can see here, we have there 5. We have there 3, 5, 9. Then we have 14 for 45 towards 53. 53. So as you can see there, we have there 14, 54 to 62. So that's it. So we have there 5 plus 4, 9 plus 2, 11. Okay, we have there 11. Then we have 63 to 71. So that will be 6. And lastly, 72 to 80, which is 74 and 77, which means that is 2. So that is our tally. And the next is we just need to convert that to frequency. We have there 3, 5, 9, 14, 11. 6, and 2. Okay? For the next part, I think we need to get the relative frequency. We know that all of our data, uh, or Rn, is equal to 50. So for relative frequency, we just need to divide each frequency by 50. So we will have there 3 divided by 50, which is 0.6. Uh, 5 divided by 50, which is 0.10. And we have there 18, and so on and so forth. And for the percentage, we just need to multiply the RF with 100. So we have there 6, 10, 18, 28, 22, 12, 4, and that has a total of 100. Okay, so that is step 6, determining the percentage. And for the last part, I think, last part, we need to determine the cumulative frequency. By cumulative frequency, this will be, we will be just adding the frequency towards the upper limit or the highest upper limit. So, it will look like this. So, paano nangyari yun? Teka, balikan natin. So, basta na lang lumabas eh. But anyway, for this, there are actually two types of cumulative frequency. We have the less than CF and the greater than CF. For the less than CF, we just need to start from our lowest class limit, which is 18 to 26, and take its frequency. So in that, we will have there 3. And you move to the second class limit, which is 27 to 35, and you just need to add its frequency to the past CF, which is 3. So 5 plus 3 will be 8. Next is you just need to add, uh, next limit will be 36 to 44. Uh, Another way you can look into this is you just need to add from 36 to 44, add all of this. So you have there 9 plus 5 plus 3, which is 17. Same concept for the other one. Or you can just add 17 to 14, then you will have there 31. Is that correct? Okay. Then we have there 31 plus 11. That will be 42. Then 42 plus 6 will be 48. And 48 plus 2, that will be 50. Okay. So how about the greater than CF? So for the greater than CF, you will be just treating this the other way around, wherein you will start with the highest class limit. So take the frequency of the highest class limit, which is 2. Then you do the same thing we did earlier, wherein next class will be 63 to 71. You just need to take its frequency, which is 6, and add that to the past CF, which is 2. So we will have there 8. Same concept. We will have here 8 plus 11. So that will be 19. Then 19 plus 14. So we will have there 33. Then we will have there 33 plus 9. So we'll have there, whoa, we'll have there 42. Then 42 plus 5, that will be 47. Then 47 plus 3, that will be 50. So one of the most important part here when we are getting the cumulative frequency, keep in mind that you need to end on your sample size, okay? So which is actually 50, okay? So here are the cumulative frequencies, which is, that is the less than CF. Actually, greater than CF is not usually used in formulas, not unlike our less than CF. That's why siguro kaya yung less than CF lang yung nagawa ko. Okay? So for the next step, we need to get the midpoints. So by midpoints, here are the midpoints. So paano yun nakuha? You just need to add the lower limit and the upper limit for each class, then divide it by 2. So basically, that will be 18 plus 26 divided by 2. That will be 22. And then you have there 27 plus 35 divided by 2. That will be 31. And so on. So that is how you determine the midpoints. Midpoints actually are important. Uh, bakit ko binuga yun? Midpoints are actually important when we are talking about computations regarding group frequency distributions. So, dito tayo magbe-base ng computations natin sa midpoint. Minsan sa class boundary, pero it is good to know midpoint because sa midpoint gagamitin natin sa computation ng, I think, sa mean, computation ng averages. Okay? So, for the final product, we have this frequency distribution table wherein we have the class limit na nakuha natin by determining the number of classes. Okay? And by determining the number of classes or the class intervals, we just get this ranges. Then we have this class boundary. By class boundary, we just deducted the next or yung mas mababang decimal uh, uh, yung place value natin, which is, since ones tayo, yung i-add natin ay susubtract ay nasa tenths, which is dapat 5. Okay? Then we have their frequency, wherein we just tally all of the members of each class limits. So, tinignan natin kung ilan yung 18 to 26 years old, ilan yung 27 to 35, ilan yung 36 to 44, and so on. And for the relative frequency, we just divided the frequency by the total number of the samples, which is 50. So we got 0.6, 0.06 for our 18 to 26. That is 3 divided by 50. 0.10 para naman dun sa ating 5. That is 5 divided by 50. And so on. And for percentage, we just multiplied the relative frequency by 100. Then we got the cumulative frequency and the midpoint. So that is how we create our or this is how we construct our frequency distribution table. So yung sa inyo, para sa inyo, ito yung pang-practice niya. So given the data set, construct a frequency distribution table with columns and class limits, class boundaries, frequency, percentage, midpoint, and cumulative frequency. So, I will be expecting this in our Edmodo class. Okay? Or I will be creating a submission bin for this in our Edmodo class. Uh, so, see, see the submission bin there. Okay? Para lang di magkalituhan, you will be using the I, which is equal to range over 1 plus 3.322 log n, kung ilan man tong sample na to. Okay? So in that, have a nice day and good luck.